What's up, everybody? So today we are going to demo some behind the scenes inking of Akira, starting with watercolor, a little bit of markers, and some pencil. Hopefully this is in focus. This is the first time I'm trying this different setup. First thing we're going to do is color swatch our colors. If you're not familiar with it, it's from the classic anime Akira. Um, like I said, I've never tried to actually demo doing watercolor. So this is going to be new for you and me. So I'm just literally color swatching. It's always a good idea with watercolor to start light, and you can always go darker, but it's kind of hard to go from dark to light. I take that back. I think I'm going to use this one as my base tone, because the other ones are pretty pink. So, everyone has their own style of doing watercolor. I'm not an expert. This is just kind of what I like to do. But I'm going to start with a very light wash over my entire bike. So if you're familiar with the anime Akira, the bike itself is a very vibrant red. There's a few different subtleties in the red, but again, I'm kind of going back to the reference. Um, so let's just start laying in color as I talk, I guess. So hopefully you guys will find this as entertaining as it is for me to draw. If not, I'll try not to bore you to death. But yeah, kind of don't want to go too heavy with this red here. And this isn't watercolor paper too, so it's going to probably tear it up a little bit, but it's okay. Yeah, but I really like these water brush pens. It just allows you to kind of blend and mix and paint freely without having to I don't know, need all these tools with you when you're on the go. Because I like painting when I'm out in stores or coffee shops, whatever maybe. It just kind of gives me the freedom to not have to carry so many things with me and be able to create still. So Akira, it takes place in this futuresque Tokyo scene or scenery, um, and everything's kind of gritty. So I did add a little bit of detail to the bike itself, little dings and nicks, which I'll probably have to go back over this because I just realized how opaque this thing is. I didn't realize how dark this was. And like I said, this isn't watercolor paper, so I can't go too crazy with the water, or it will start damaging the paper itself, which it's kind of done already, but that's alright. I can survive with that. I'm curious to see hear what your favorite anime was growing up, because this was heavily influential on a lot of the art styles that I follow. Because I love the detail work that they did on this. Um, yeah. So which movies did you guys grow up on? So Akira, it'd be Ninja Scroll, um, Fist of the North Star. These are all really important for me when I was watching cartoons and stuff early on. Yeah, watercolors are always soothing for me because I said they're pretty forgiving. Um, and it's, even when you do make a mistake, it doesn't look terrible. You know, I've never been one to draw within lines, honestly. So I'll probably end up having to go back over the stuff and do some line work. Can you guys see that clearly? Hopefully. Um, yeah. So I'm just kind of freestyling this, honestly. Then I have a game plan, oh, I'm gonna do this first. I'm just kind of using like various tones. This is like a darker pink to kind of add like little shadows here and there, blocking this in. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, you need to ink your drawings like this. No. If it looks right and you're happy with it, cool. I'm probably like my own worst critic when it comes to my art, and try not to fall into the habit of comparing it to anyone else's. It's easier said than done. It's just like in our nature, you know. Let's see. I think when I was starting off, I was doing that pretty often. Like, damn, my art isn't as good as this person's. But be like learning to accept your art for its good, and you know, for the flaws and whatever. It's still something I try to do and remind myself to keep doing. But I feel like that's also a drawback of social media, is you're like constantly comparing yourself to others, whether you're an artist or whatever. Like, it's very easy to do, and it's hard to like remind yourself to be okay with just doing your own thing. So part of the pressure for it all now is like, you know, you need followers, you need likes, you need all this acceptance from others. But you have to remind yourself to take a step back sometimes and kind of like, don't forget the big picture. You know, you're trying to improve as an artist. You didn't get into it for, well, maybe you did get into it for followers and shit, but I didn't. Let's see. What I'm using right now is a moleskin book, by the way. And like I said, this isn't watercolor paper, so it's kind of like lifting. So I think the first layer is done for now, and I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit, and then come back and go over one more time, and then add some line work. I'm gonna whip out these handy dandy Copic multi-liners to bring back some of this line work before it gets lost in the mix here. I added the second layer of watercolor, and a little bit of line work. So I'll go back and again and even add a little bit more. Got all the tiny lines and stuff I want. So what I'm gonna do now is get a slightly thicker fine liner, kind of go over some of this line work again. And so you don't have to go crazy with your lines either. You can keep it minimal. Like a well-placed line can make or break a drawing sometimes. Just kind of picking and choosing what I want to separate here. Because if I did it all bold lines, it kind of doesn't. Something about having like line dynamics, like a thick line to a narrow line, just gives it something more. I don't know. I'm sure someone phrased that a lot better than I can, but it just looks more appealing to the eye, I guess. And if you're tuning in now, like I said, this is just kind of behind the scenes of me inking Akira, an Akira drawing I did. And it's always this part of me, like when I start, where it's like mad nerves because I did like a really cool pencil rendering, and there's that fear that I'm gonna mess it up. But you know, you just kind of have to roll with it and make it work. So even though these show really dark initially, they kind of dry lighter. So you also kind of have to play around with your pigments and stuff. That's why it's good to like color swatch, because it's not gonna look the same when it dries. See, I should go over that line because it's kind of getting lost. So now I have this outlined, inked, a little bit of watercolor. My Tetsuo from Akira is almost done. I think I'm going to add a little bit of red here and there, and then call this thing a wrap. Because it's getting to the point where I feel like I'm going to start overworking it, which is easy to do, and I don't want to do that. So I'm adding little splashes of that earlier pink, like the darker pink, for more shadow. All this is just various tones of red, and honestly I might do the outfit in marker just because it's, I don't know, it's more it's less of the focal point, I should say, of this illustration. Overall, like, I liked how it turned out. I was a little worried, I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I start going over my line work, I always get concerned that I might ruin it, you know. But you know, you gotta be bold, you gotta be confident sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. And sometimes some of the better creations are made from trial and error. So, yeah, kind of happy how this turned out. Okay. So last but not least, I'm going to use a white gel pen to kind of emphasize certain highlights and stuff. I'm really just adding little dots and little scuff marks, little details. You can add them underneath your, you can see where I did like little lines and stuff. I'm adding little dots underneath it to kind of emphasize the highlight. You could be as controlled or as loose with this as you want to be. Totally up to you. I'll use one of these bad boys. If you ever buy one of these brush pens, the gray cartridge tends to be the one with the permanent ink, if you're ever looking. So I initially like the gray, but realizing it doesn't make it pop enough, I'm going to black out the whole thing. So the whole background. Alright, you guys, be sure to tune in for the proto art. Make sure you like and subscribe. I know a lot of this video was in time lapse. However, I didn't want to have a 2 hour plus video of me drawing, inking, and whatnot. So hopefully you could at least enjoy some of what you can see and enjoy the end result. Talk to you soon.